Hey, everybody. We're going to give about a couple more minutes, just let some people join in here. Appreciate you all hanging out with us tonight, and we'll get started here about 2-3 minutes or so. In the meantime, for any of you guys that know Tersh, he is in the background, so please feel free to heckle him at any point. He can see your comments and your inappropriate jokes. While you guys are filling in here, if you guys wouldn't mind putting the city and state that you're from, so that way we can kind of see where everybody is tuning in from tonight, that would be awesome. Hey, Andrew. Appreciate you tuning in tonight. Hey, Byron. We got Sarasota, Dover, Moorhead, North Carolina. How's the weather out there, guys? Grafton, West Virginia. So we got a lot of East Coasters so far. There we go. Hey, David. Matthew, how you doing, buddy? Dayton, Ohio. Very nice. Byron, you must not be in Vero Beach. I have a client that's in Vero Beach who is complaining that it was 45 degrees this morning. So you must not be in that area. It says it's chilly. Oh, great. Tersh has got controls, and he is commenting as Relentless Digital. This is not going to go well. Yeah, Brittany, I know you're in Queen Creek. Thank you. We got Tennessee in the house. Hi, Barry. You Florida people like to complain as soon as it gets to like 50. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close the comments. I'm going to get started. Again, thank you for tuning in tonight. I know a lot of people, it's kind of a test to kind of see what the engagement looks like a little after hours here. Appreciate you guys jumping in and joining right after the Thanksgiving break, because sometimes I know things get kind of busy and crazy after that. So appreciate you all tuning in today. So we're going to talk a lot about your Google business profiles tonight. We're also going to touch SEO from your website. And then we're also going to talk about some data and metrics and things that are going to help your operations as you move into 2025, so you guys can all grow your business. So let's go over what you're going to learn. You're going to learn mistakes that are killing your Google business profile and making it so you don't rank very well. Why your website isn't bringing in leads. Top local SEO ranking factors, including a study that you guys are going to be able to take a look at. I'll give you guys the link during the presentation, and then how to apply those changes to your business profile. How to turn reviews into your secret weapon, including some tips on automation and AI. And then the easiest way to track what's working so you stop wasting your hard-earned marketing dollars. All right, so let's do a quick roll call. What industry or what primary industry do you guys serve? Let's drop them in the chat. And hopefully of the 29 people that are tuned in, somebody is listening. There we go. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC. Matthew's the odd duck in this group. Health insurance. Awesome. We got a lot of HVAC people on here. Andrew's got all 3 trades. Tim's got all 3. Awesome. There's going to be some good tips. I'm going to try to remember that. And the reason I asked, some of the Google business profile tactics I'm going to share is going to be a little different for you guys. Okay. Mechanical contracting and building diagnostics. Hey, Justin. Detailing. Awesome. Cool, guys. All right. I'm not going to go over this too much, but I have been in your shoes. I have been pretty much every position except for owner on the HVAC contractor side. I've even had a stint as a territory sales manager. All the skills, all the things that I'm going to show you tonight are things that I've done while I was at the 3 HVAC companies I worked for. So they are tried, true, and tested. And then, of course, some things that we've learned over the last few years since Relentless has been in business. Big philosophy of mine and this is something I don't think is prevalent enough in the trades, is that once someone becomes your customer, keep them as a customer. And we'll go over into some tactics on that as well. We started Relentless Digital in 2020. Also, as I mentioned, Tersh is in the background here. We have the Service Business Mastery podcast. If you guys are on this presentation and have not checked that out, we have something like 450, 500 episodes. And we were the HVAC podcast of the year this last year. So check it out. There's a lot of really great stuff on that podcast. And a couple things just about myself. All right. So right away, we're going to jump in. Just so you guys know, this is going to be hard hitting. I'm not going to spend a ton of time explaining everything. If you have questions, dump them in the chat. We'll get to those at the very end. But the most important thing you need to know about local SEO from your website's perspective, and we're going to start with website first, is that your website is still important. It is not the most important. If you have a marketing company and they are not talking about your Google business profile first and foremost, I would look for a new one. This is where, according to a study, and I'll share the company that produces this study, about 82 to 85% of organic leads come through the Google business profile. So, but that being said, when it comes to conversion on page one, this is super important before we get into everything else to understand. About 48% of page one clicks go to the first 3 spots on Google Maps. So almost half of page one, and you guys all know what page one looks like. We got local service ads, PPC, maps, and then the 10 organic listings. About 48% go to maps. And those studies on the links on the page here are studies if you guys want to read more about that. So what I'm showing on the screen here, as I mentioned, websites are not dead yet. And this is data across our entire client set. I took this data screenshot about a year ago. You can see that people are clicking through to the website where it says website links. That's people clicking through to the website. And the phone calls are almost about 2/3. And that doesn't include people that actually dial in the number. But they're going to your website, but they're not converting there. And the reason is they're looking for reasons to trust you. So it's really important when they land on your website, you're focused on trust signals, reviews, why you're different, special offers, pictures of your team and your brand. Who am I doing business with? Very important to have that stuff front and center on your website. When it comes to page one of organic search, you guys are all familiar with what this looks like. And obviously this is changing with AI search, but there's not really enough information to really put too much of that in the presentation today. Local search has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. All of these where I'm highlighting, these are hyper local pages on your website. So what your website needs in order to potentially rank for these types of keywords is location pages. So every single city, town, and if you have big neighborhoods like we do here in Arizona, where there's 500 to 1,000 homes in a neighborhood, even neighborhood level pages are going to help you rank for those key terms. Most of the time, people do not type in the city anymore when they do a search. They either put the search in like I did in the search bar, or they type in near me, in my area, around me, things like that, because Google knows exactly where you're located. So these are very important things. If you don't have these on your website, this should be one of the first things that you are doing to make sure that you're telling Google where you do business and what you want to rank for. A couple more content related tips is most of the time when somebody goes to Google Maps, that's the bottom 3% of people doing searches. Before the other 97% of leads get there, they're looking for information. Just like this. This is a webinar. I'm trying to give you guys information so you can make buying decisions or grow your business. It's the same thing that your homeowners are going through. There's a section on page one of Google Maps called People Also Ask. This is a fantastic way to get nuggets and tips from Google of what people are searching. If they're searching for that, when I type in AC installation, for example, if you look down here at where it says Jacobs heating and air conditioning for this search term, how much does it cost to install AC in my home? Outside of Home Depot and this local company that's here, that's one of the top ranked things here. Those are great content tips for you to have on your website. Those are things that we should be writing blogs about, making videos about. Okay, so there's a lot of tips on page one if you just look at page one a little differently than a homeowner would. I'm going to go through, I got some on my notes over here, just some really quick factors for your website. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we really want to get into the meat and potatoes with Google Maps, but we need a fast loading website. There are a couple free tools out there, Google Page Speed Insights and gtmetrics.com. That's metrics, METRIX, are great. You can throw your website URL in there, and it's going to tell you if you have problems or if your website's fast. You want to make sure your call to actions are very clear. What does that mean? Book now, call today, schedule today, things like that. Don't contact us is not a great call to action. Tell them exactly what they're going to get when clicking on that button, so it's super clear and makes it, if I click this button, I'm going to get this thing. And that way it's super easy for them to convert. On your website, this is a huge one, and I do a lot of audits still. Add pictures of your team, your trucks, your operation, your warehouse, how you do business, your installs. Stop having content pages on your website with 0 or 1 picture, especially stock images. We've all seen the guy that's working at a home with a hard hat on. I think he works at about 10,000 different HVAC companies. Don't be that company. You're not differentiating yourself at all. Most CRMs and FSMs have picture taking capabilities. If you don't have one of those, or you can't take pictures with yours, get a software like Company Cam, and you can take pictures in the field and then reuse those for your marketing. We talked a little bit about social proof, reviews, awards, brands you work with, things that homeowners know. Like if you're a top on Nextdoor, if you've won that local neighborhood favorite, put that badge on your website. If you have top reviews on Home Advisor or something, put that on your website. Even if you don't care about those things, homeowners recognize them, and it's important to them. The biggest focus when it comes to tracking keywords for your website is track local keywords. We've all seen the reports. I've shown some of those reports where the keywords are up and to the right and it looks fantastic. However, when you dig a little deeper, and I've done this on sites, a lot of the keywords that people are ranking for are blog keywords, meaning someone wrote a blog and you're ranking for that keyword. Well, if I'm in Arizona and I write a blog and it ranks really well, and Tersh is doing a search and finds my blog, he's in Georgia, that doesn't matter for my local business. It helps Google to see that you get traffic, but it is not going to be traffic that converts into a customer for you. So focus local, then build blogs to get traffic. But the things you really need to track, so when you look at these keyword reports on SEMrush or Ahrefs, it needs to be service plus city, service near me, service in my area, things like that. And on the next slide, I'm going to give you a tool that does a great job of the local keyword tracking. And that is very simply keyword.com. Keyword.com, what's great about it is I can track one keyword, and I'll use the example of plumber near me, for as many locations as I want. So let's say I service 10 different cities. I can track plumber near me in every single city, which allows me to track how I'm performing in those areas. So what keyword.com does is it pings local IP addresses in that town or city. So that way it's really easy to see how I'm ranking. So this is a great example. This client, we were tracking ceiling fan install near me. In one city, they ranked number 6. And another one, they ranked first. It's really good to know this stuff because there's other cities that they didn't rank at all. And that means those pages need work. And this is what it looks like. So when you go into the tool, you can actually see when you click on one of the links, it'll show you this. Like when I did this, I was sitting here in Queen Creek, Arizona, and this shows me local results for the company that I'm tracking. So this is a great way for you to easily track this. Now, if you don't want to buy software, which I completely understand, as there's a lot of software out there, there is a free option. It's a Google Chrome extension. So you have to use the Google Chrome browser. It's called GS Location Changer. All you have to do is, actually, I don't know if and it won't show up on my screen when you do it, but all you have to do is it's a little Chrome extension. It pops down. You put the city and state, just like this, that you want to track rankings for. Enable the fake location, and you will see all of the local results for that keyword. So really easy. You can track this. There's no limit. The only thing that you have to do is you have to change the location every single time. So it's a little more tedious to get all the information that you want. This is what that looks like in the report. You can see all of the different cities that were tracking the same keywords, and you can see how you're ranking. This little map icon here is if we're ranking on Google Maps. Otherwise, we can also see the organic rankings as well. A couple more tools before we get into the Google Maps stuff. This used to be a free tool. I think it's like $4.99 a month. It's called SEO Minion. There's a couple really great things about this tool. One, you can understand if your marketing company, your internal marketer, or whoever you've hired to do this for you, unless you're doing it yourself, is optimized. It shows you the meta title, description, how the page is optimized, if photos have been optimized. And you also see on this box here in the middle, this section on the right-hand side, we talked about those people also ask questions where we can get content ideas. You can download these into a spreadsheet. So you can go several layers deep with this and have a massive spreadsheet of things that people are searching. So that way you can create content. This is what that looks like. It creates these nice little maps. And if I clicked into like, why is my AC blowing cool, not cold? It will give me another list of questions. It keeps going another layer deep. I think it goes up to like 9 layers deep, which can take a while to run, but this is an awesome way to come up with content ideas. There is another free tool. I think you can do up to 3 free searches a day. It's called Also Asked. That's ALSOASKED.com. And like I said, you can do 3 free searches a day on that one, and it refreshes every single day. All right, I'm pretty sure this is the last tool before we get into the Google Maps stuff. This is absolutely one of my favorites. You can do either up to 5 or 10 free searches a month with this one. Otherwise, it's a small subscription. It's called GMB Everywhere. This is a fantastic way to either do an audit on your brand and how you just what kind of information can you see, what categories, what questions and answers are being used, what services, products, etc. You can also see what your competitors are doing. That's probably what most of you would actually prefer to do, is see what your competitors are doing. And then also understand, do they have multiple GMB listings? How fast is their website? How many reviews are they getting? Know if they're adding photos, what categories, which we're going to get into categories here first. What categories have they selected? So there's a lot of really good information you can find. So that way you can take that information and then apply it to your business. All right, before we get into the heart of the content here, I'd love for you guys in the chat, how many of you are currently managing your own Google business profile? Put 1 if you're doing it yourself, 2 if someone else handles it for you, or 3 you're not managing it at all, or you don't know who's managing it. Give everyone just a second to throw that in the chat. All right, we got a lot of 1s. Barry, I'm happy if you don't know who's managing it, or Isaac, if you don't know who's managing it, feel free. I'm happy. I can share you some videos on how to get access to that, or just make sure you know where that's at. Awesome. So we got a lot of people that are managing their own right now. Awesome. Appreciate you guys commenting on that. All right, last ask before we get into more content. I would love to know if you guys take your primary service. So I'm going to give you an example so that way you know what to type in. But type in Google, open a different browser, and type in your primary service and your city, and then just drop in the chat where you rank. So things like plumber near me, or in my instance, AC repair Queen Creek, something like that. Let me know how you rank on Google Maps and throw it in the chat. Give it about another 15 seconds or so, and then I will move on. Oh, Matthew, number 1. Awesome. All right, Byron's number 4. This is a great way for you guys to understand, helps me as well understand where you guys are at, how you guys rank, what kind of things we can help on. Travis, number 1, small town. John, number 2, awesome. David, number 1, that's awesome. James has got number 2 on LSA. What about James? What about your Google business profile? Are you showing up top 3 in that? Tim, I must be behind. I'm a 2, but the company is not doing it right. Okay. And so I think some of that depends. Like some of you guys may rank really well and you may be in a really small town with not a lot of competition. So some of that could play a factor as well. Barry's number 6. Awesome. Appreciate you guys putting that and going through that exercise with me so I can kind of see where you guys are at. All right. So I mentioned a study for you guys. This is something you might want to write down and look into later. Google, or if you use AI search, just put in White Spark local ranking factors. And what should pop up, number 1, is a study, and it's going to have a box with a whole lot. There's like 130 some odd ranking factors that are in there. You guys can, there's a whole bunch of analysis in there as well. Not enough. We don't have enough time to go over that today. So we're going to talk about a handful of things so that way you guys can have some actionable takeaways to start helping grow your business right away. So the first thing is you notice that 2 of the top 10 or 2 of the top 8 here are about category. So there's a lot of category options. And I'm only going to, the 3 slides I'm going to show is going to be HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. There are obviously other people on this call that are not in those trades. So I'm happy to do a little research for you if you guys want afterwards. But you can see this is just HVAC category options. These are plumbing category options. And then these are electrical category options. There are a ton of options. So it's very important to get this right. In order to get this right, we have to know, or you have to understand what Google's looking for on this. Some of this can be looked like GMB Everywhere tool. If you have some competitors ranking above you for services that you really want to rank for, that GMB Everywhere tool can be a great tool for you to see, is their primary category different than yours? Maybe generator installation's huge, whether it's down in the South or some of you guys are in Florida. Maybe that's a really big service for some of you guys and you guys want to rank for that. Maybe some of them have the primary category of generator shop over electrician. So just things to think about and things to look into for your business. So got one case study to share with you guys on the impact that changing categories can have. Now, let's say you're a plumber that does pretty much general plumbing, all the different plumbing services, you wouldn't want to change this based on seasonality. So this is more of an HVAC or a seasonal business change, but this is a case study. We changed the primary category from HVAC contractor to AC repair service, and we changed the landing page. When I say landing page, when you guys log into your Google business profile, the landing page that is connected to your business profile does help and have some significance when it comes to ranking. So if it's just going to your homepage and your homepage is not optimized for your primary service, that is hurting you. So just things to think about. If you are in, I'll use the example because I'm not in Phoenix. If I was trying to rank in Phoenix from Queen Creek, which is about 45 minutes away, I would make sure that my Google business profile had a location page focused on AC repair in Phoenix attached to that business profile. If you have, I know some of you guys, a couple of you guys had HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. You had all 3 services. This is where it gets really tricky. And my recommendation, I don't have any slides about this, is to start considering having multiple Google business listings, because one of your categories or 2 of your categories are always going to take a hit. Your primary, whatever the primary is selected, is always going to be number 1 no matter what you do. So as soon as you change it, let's say, because we're maybe down in the South here, you're done with AC season, it's not too cold, so you're not really ready for heating season, or you don't have much for heating season, you want to change it to plumbing. Well, that means anything on your HVAC side is going to take a hit. And if you have electrical with your company as well, that's also not going to rank very well. The best way to combat that is have multiple Google business listings. I don't have enough time to go into that today, but it is something that I can definitely share some resources or other videos that I've done on how to do this properly and how to pass video verification if anyone is interested. This next tip and thing that we're going to go over is something that is a little bit controversial. Depends who you ask. You'll get some different answers on this depending on the marketing person that you ask. But having keywords in your business title absolutely helps your ranking. Now, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. I'm going to go over that next. So first of all, we're going to talk about the things that you should not do. You should not stuff your name with every single service you can think of, like the examples here, because this doesn't look real. It is really easy to spot. Marketing companies like Relentless, we combat spam. If you guys, a couple slides, you guys saw that there were one of the top 10 ranking factors was removal of spam listings. That is something that we do for clients. So if we see something like this, it is a really easy indicator for us to go report that to Google and try to get that profile either suspended or change the name back to remove the keywords. The right way to do this is to get a DBA. Some states call it a fictitious certificate through your state with the updated business name. And the reason you want to do that is if you get suspended, the only way that name is going to stick is if you have that paperwork. Okay. So some other tips that I have is to be subtle. You can see the examples on the screen here. This was a client we had in Phoenix. We just added the primary service for them. I would go after the service that is going to be the most beneficial for you. It would be really easy for me to say in Phoenix, let's go after, at first choice mechanical AC repair, installation, service, and maintenance. But that name is really long. It doesn't look legitimate. So it's one of those things you really focus on the primary service that you want to rank for. If you don't know what that is, reach out to someone like myself. We're happy to kind of walk you through that and do a little bit of analysis on that. One other key thing to remember, this is a recent change. So this is not something that there's a lot of documentation out about. But if you change the name on your Google business profile and you are running LSA or local service ads, you have to have this paperwork, a DBA certificate, to send into LSA. Otherwise, if the Google business profile name does not match your local service ads account, your LSA ads will not run. They will automatically turn them off until you get this approval. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's more of a recent change. It's actually a good change because then it makes it a lot harder to spam LSA. So it's just something to keep in mind. So always have that documentation on file. Here's a case study. This is actually the last HVAC company that I worked at before starting Relentless Digital. They were originally just an HVAC company. After I left, they added an electrician. And so we changed the name. We got a DBA. We changed the name and we added electric repair to the title. And you guys can kind of see what that change was. This literally happened within 8 days of making the change. So it's very, very, very powerful. It can have a massive impact really quickly. All right, this one we're going to spend a little time on, especially for some of you guys that have multiple trades, because this is super important and not enough people know about this when it comes to address. So address, if you guys look up that White Spark survey that I mentioned, the White Spark local ranking factors survey, I don't know exact number. I think like 13 out of the top 100 ranking factors had to do with your address. It's kind of like the old adage back when we were growing up, when everything was an in-store business before we had all this digital businesses, is location, location, location. And it matters just as much. It's just more on the digital side now and how it matters. And I'll explain that here in a second. So first of all, I'm going to go over the two different types of listings that you can have. The first is an SAB, which is a service area business listing. This is typically used when someone is using their home address a UPS box location, PO box, things like that. It's not a bad way to get started. The problem is SAB listings do not rank well. Google's never really given an explanation for it, but they just don't rank well. So now the other caveat is if you have a home address and you don't have a physical office, you cannot show the address. It's against Google's terms of service. You may get away with it for a short period of time. However, Google is getting really good with their AI technology of figuring out if this is a home address and then suspending you. I had one client about 3 years ago, and this is really how I learned this lesson. It was the middle of June. They were in Florida. I can't remember exactly where in Florida. And they were rocking and rolling. It was him and like 2 other people, and it was a small company. They were rocking and rolling all summer. And then I never asked the question in onboarding if it was a home address, and I didn't do the background check. They got suspended in June, which any of you guys in Florida or in the South, you know what June is like. It's sticky. You're working until 8 or 10 o'clock every single day. It's busy. And his business was down for 3 weeks in the middle of summer. Obviously, that relationship didn't last long. And some of that was just a learning experience on our end. But it is vital for you guys, if you're going to do this, just do it right. I know it is an extra cost, but it is a very small cost considering the fact that if you get suspended, you have a lease, you have a utility bill, you have things that you can send to Google and support really quickly to get your business back online. And you get the benefits of having ranking improvements like this. This was a plumbing company that they actually didn't start working with us until February, but I told them before we started working together that they had to get an office because they had 2 SAB listings, their house and one of their technicians' houses, which a lot of companies have done this. You can see that we literally got their location live. We did help them with that before the contract started. And you can see the ranking improvement in just 2 days. This is the only thing we did was change their address to the office and get it live. And you can see a massive increase in ranking and everything else for one of their main key terms, which was plumber. So very important. If you guys have questions on this, drop them in the chat. We'll get to those at the end because I know a lot of people typically ask questions on like things you can do versus things you can't do. If you have multiple listings or thinking about multiple listings, I would highly recommend getting a small office space. When I say small office space, 150 square feet, 200 square feet, just a small enough room where you can get a sign on the door, put a desk in there, a computer, a chair, and make it look like somebody actually works in there. That is usually good enough to pass video verification. I would stay away from co-working spaces, shared working spaces. I would only get a Regus space. If you guys are familiar with that, Regus has a lot of real estate across the country. They have a lot of these like shared working space things where you can kind of go rent an office for an hour. They tell you that they can get you approved with your Google Business Profile. The problem is the risk of suspension is extremely high with those, and I've seen it happen over and over again. All right, so we talked about SAB versus physical location. Now we're going to talk about where your business is located. And this happens even more frequently than the SAB versus physical office issue, is because a lot of people have a warehouse that's outside of town. Now, this client's address, as you can see, is actually in a town called Four Corners, Montana. They wanted to rank in Bozeman, which you can see on the map with the heat map here. Bozeman's outlined in red. That red outline is Google's definition of Bozeman. Their USPS address, where their mail is shipped, says they're in Bozeman. The problem is they're actually not, according to who it matters in our business, which is Google. So what happens is you can see as soon as we rank really well, and as soon as we hit this wall right here where Bozeman starts, our rankings start to drop. And this happens over and over and over again. I've seen this hundreds of times at this point. So typically what we recommend is, one, you don't have to move your entire warehouse. You can keep that where it is. What this client did is they got a second location, a physical office, and they put it over in this section kind of on the very far east of Bozeman. So that way they could rank in the city that they actually wanted to rank in. So there are ways around this. It's just one of those things. It's really easy to do this search. So if you guys go to google.com/maps, type in your business. So that way it pulls the map pin, zoom out. So that way, when you do the next search, you won't lose your place. Kind of memorize where that map pin is. And then in the browser, type in, just like I have on the right, the screenshot on the right, type in the city and state. And then you'll see if your map pin is inside of the city. If it's not, that is a problem. And that's going to be a reason why you don't rank as well there. And these are things that no marketing company can fix. So I just want to really hammer that point home, because a lot of times companies sign up with marketing companies, and they are at a big disadvantage. They either have an SAB listing or they're outside the main city that they want to rank in, and they're set up at a disadvantage. Nobody tells them, and you're spending a lot of money trying to rank in a city that is going to be almost impossible for you to actually rank in. All right, this one actually is an update. It's been about a year since this update was released. Your hours of operation on your Google Business Profile used to not matter, but it does matter now. So this is a strategic question you have to ask yourself is, one, do I want calls after a certain time? If you do, I would highly recommend keeping your business profile open either later or 24 hours. The reason for that is when competitors close their business listing, no matter what, you're going to get a ranking bump because they're closed. As soon as they close, you go up in the rankings. So if you want to grow your business, you want to be aggressive, this is one really easy way to do it. And I highlighted that in the screenshot. You can see the times that these were taken. This one was taken on the 21st at 10 o'clock in the morning when all their competitors were open. Or I'm sorry, this client was open. And you can see at 4:58 in the morning when they were not open, the difference in their ranking. So it's a strategic thing. If you do not have a call center, a good call center, and if you do not have like some sort of AI voice product like Avoca or something similar, I would not recommend getting these calls because they're not going to go anywhere. But it is something that you guys will have to answer strategically based on your own business. Filling out your entire business profile. This is something that gets overlooked. Is there's stuff to fill out, but it takes time, it's tedious, and like, it doesn't really matter. However, I don't remember exactly when this update happened. Is these things didn't used to help or hurt your business if you filled them out or not. However, sometime last year, I'd have to look it up to see the exact date. The predefined service list that you get from Google, by filling these out and checking these and adding some content, actually really does help you rank better for these types of services. So I'll show you an example of what that looks like. We kind of found an obscure one for a plumbing client in San Francisco. The category that repair water fixtures was under bathroom remodeler and kitchen remodeler, which typically would not be a service that, or would not be a category we would select for a plumbing client. But because it was this one, and there was like one other service that was something that they did, you can see the massive improvement. This was literally 1 day later. So you can see some massive improvements here. And if you guys are wondering why all these screenshots are in 2023, I originally did this presentation in June of last year. So a lot of this still applies, and I just didn't want to update the screenshots. Got some other quick tips. This one is not really a ranking tip. It's more of a conversion tip, especially on mobile devices, which roughly, and it depends on market, roughly 50 to 55% of traffic uses their mobile device. It's probably trending a little higher lately. But adding products or filling out products in your services section get really great placement, as you can see. So this was a screenshot I took on mobile. And after the main business information, you can see right at the bottom, there's a $100 off coupon. So if we think about what if they find this, they're ready. If you go to Google, you're ready to buy from somebody. You're at the very bottom of your marketing funnel. This could be a great way to kind of push them over the edge to decide to choose you over somebody else. So it's just one more way to try to convert somebody that's already there. And it can be really helpful. So I would definitely add these offers and products in there, or offers as products, and fill it out that way. This is a tip because a lot of people don't know what to put in their Google business posts. Google business posts are not social media posts. They're completely different. Social media, people are going to hang out, to learn something, to watch a video, to be entertained. When they go to Google, they're looking for a business or something to do, or someone to do business with typically, or they're looking for strategic information about something they're researching. So when they get there, we want to have things that try to convert them. And you can see, of course, I covered it up here a little bit, but these little tags can get placed automatically by Google. There's no way for you guys to choose which one shows, but these are called justifications. These justifications can, again, help convert because we have special offers for repairs, maintenance, installation, or other services that we offer. Like you can see the one on the right has a free whole home humidifier with purchase of furnace. These things show up on the profile and can help you convert traffic when they get there. Here's another example of a Google Business Profile post. I actually took this from somebody else. If they see your Google Business Profile post, these are used to convert traffic. So think of them as mini billboards designed to convert. Use special offers, use things that are going to get someone to click on your stuff and call you. Next, I want to talk about photos. This is the link that I put in the description here is Google's Cloud Vision. It's an AI tool. Just like anything with AI, it's gotten a lot better over the last couple of years since ChatGPT really put AI in the forefront. But the picture on the left was the unedited version of this picture. You can see it has a bookshelf. It's got a ton of just stuff. The label section, this is Google's AI telling us what they think is in the picture. You can see there's things like bag, luggage, room, shelving, shelf, wood, kitchen. Like they don't really know what's going on. All I did in the picture on the right was just condense it down to just the water heater. Now, Google still isn't really that good at understanding like what a water heater is, an AC, a furnace, but they do understand it's a fixture. There's gas. It's a cylinder, there's nickel, there's things that are related, household hardware. There's things related to the things that they know are contractor-like appliances. So having great pictures is super important. If you zoom way out and take pictures in the field and capture all of this extra stuff, it's not going to be helpful when you decide to post that stuff. So really editing these things, and these are super easy to edit. Just either get Canva or some other, there's a lot of free editing tools. Just condense it down and crop it to just the image you want to portray so Google can pick up on it. This can definitely help increase Google's knowledge of your business and what you want to rank for. I mentioned putting these types of things on your website with your brand. Google can read all of this stuff. You can see they can read the words on the side of the truck. They can read stuff on your hat, your shirts. They can read the brand of air conditioner when you put a photo of an AC. They can read all this stuff. It's more information they know about your business. So taking high quality photos is super important. So if I would have done this presentation about 6 to 9 months ago, somewhere earlier this year, I would have said user-generated content like some of you guys have heard of Nearby Now and other programs like that, Real Work Labs. Some of those companies are pretty aggressive at outreach. Those things used to not work very well. And I've asked a lot of different marketing companies about that, and they also agreed it didn't really work that well, even though they used it. But Google invested $60-some million into Reddit. If you don't know what Reddit is, it's essentially a forum where people can just throw all kinds of stuff in, have all kinds of discussions. Google is trying to teach its AI what people say, how they talk, how they interact with one another. Ever since that investment, user-generated content has absolutely helped both website rankings, which I'll show you here in a minute, and Google Business Profile performance. So having something like this on your website, which we have one, it's called Bullseye Boost for clients of ours, it can absolutely help. What we do is we take job data from a customer's CRM, We run it through some AI prompts to get a very specific output. We geotag the photos, and then we publish it to both the website and Google Business Profile. So you can see we started doing this about, I don't know, like middle, second or third week of September. So you can kind of see the comparison dates here. And you can see several new keywords that are ranking, very good, solid keywords for this company. And you can see a lot of these keywords have had positive movement as well. And then it also helps the Google Business Profile or Google Maps performance as well, as you can see here. Just a quick tip, if you guys don't know this, connect your social media accounts, because Google is starting to pull in, and this is part of a whole bunch of lawsuits and stuff they're undergoing, especially over in the UK. They're much more strict on what Google can and cannot do. But Google's starting to pull in social media posts from different social media outlets, and you can add all of your social media profiles directly to your business profile, which can also help increase visits to your Google Business Profile, visits to your social media accounts, followers, all of those sorts of things for your business, which is always a good thing. All right, one of the last big things I'm going to talk about before we get into a couple operational things, and then we'll open it up to questions, is reviews, because there's a lot of information. This is something that, as you guys are preparing your business for 2025, this needs to be a very high priority if it is not already for your business, and I'll show you why. So this is a quick case study. This was actually a new listing. This was a second listing for a client of ours in Kentucky. They opened the profile, and obviously when you open a profile, you don't have any reviews. So what we did is we took a customer list of about 1,500 people. It's about their size of their customer list at that point in time. We dripped out a text message campaign, which essentially was, the first text was, hey, it's so-and-so from Watson Heating and Air. We've done service for you in the past. Would you recommend our company? If they said yes, we would send them a review link. If no, we would try to get some more information from them. And they went from no reviews on February 25th of last year to about 32 or 33 Google reviews in, as you can see, about 6 weeks here. And you can see the ranking improvement from the time we did optimization and got these reviews. Massive, massive improvement. So they opened a listing. It was very inexpensive. They had our help with the management, and immediately before air conditioning season really kicked off, they were in a prime position to grow and win. And this is something that I would recommend you guys go back to your customers once a quarter, or if you don't want to do it that often, once every 6 months, go back to all of the customers that you service in that time frame, ask them for a review. Even though you might have some automation in place, ask them again anyways. And I'll get into why it's okay to get reviews for other platforms here in a second, but super, super important. And this helps you win and helps you continue to rank. We talked about justifications. This can also help increase conversions, because Google's going to try to match the keyword that someone's typing in with a review. So the more reviews you have, the more review content you have, the more opportunity Google has to match it with search terms. I would also highly recommend, this is something that I was doing back at Professional Services about 5 or 6 years ago, was automatically taking new reviews that we got in through Google. I put a filter process in place so that way only 5-star reviews came through, and then we would publish them to all of our social media profiles. I think Tersh has done this for a number of years as well. And if you guys want to learn how to do automation and automate tasks, reach out to either myself, or if you know Tersh, reach out to Tersh. We do have a community that we share things like this. You can do this yourself and don't have to add more software cost. Something that we have converted a lot to in the last year or so is automatically replying with AI to reviews. And this is something I used to I was the person in charge at Professional Services of answering reviews, and we were very, very good at getting reviews. And I'll tell you a story about that in here in a second. But I literally hated, and could not tell, like, when I had to go through reviews from a busy time of year and I had 30 or 40 reviews to reply to, it was literally the worst day of my week, because I couldn't figure out what to say. We didn't have ChatGPT or anything like that to like come up with different ideas. So it was always like, how do I say something just a little different And then also, if somebody leaves a review like you see on the screen, how do I kind of respond back to them and kind of mention the things that they mentioned back in a review? It took a lot of brain power for something that was really simple. Automatically doing this. So I actually asked ChatGPT before this presentation. I said, how long do you think it takes the average human to reply to one review? They said a positive review is roughly 2 to 3 minutes. That might be a little long. If it's a negative review, sometimes as much as 5 to 10 or 15 minutes, depending on the research you have to do and some of those other things. I would not reply to negative reviews with AI just yet. I would only do the positive ones. But this company that I'm sharing this from gets about 90 to 100 reviews a month. So if we took an average of a couple minutes per review reply, we're saving this company about 4 to 5 hours of manual labor for someone in their office that they don't have to worry about this specifically. They can go do something that's more revenue producing activities. And then these reviews are also getting shared on their social media accounts, which is creating just constant reminders of how awesome this company is to their entire market. We do have a free AI review template. This is something that is also part of our Automation Foundations community that I mentioned. If you would like to get a video on how to set this up for yourself, email me. My email is jcrouch@relentless-digital.com with the subject line free Zapier AI review template, which is right here at the top of the screen. And then I will send you a video that I have recorded on how to set this up and also give you some information on our community. So I told you guys I was going to tell you a story about professional services. When I started there in 2019, they had 46. They'd been in business like 6 or 7 years. They had 46 Google reviews. They had one-star review on the Better Business Bureau. They had maybe 19 or 20 recommendations on Facebook, which at the time used to be reviews on Facebook. What we did was we automated the process. That was one of the first things we did, was after every single job, whether it was an estimate or it was a service call, is we automated the review process and sent them a review request. In 2 years' time, we went from 46 Google reviews to over 600 on Google. We went from one really bad review, which we did fix on the Better Business Bureau, to 22. And some markets, Better Business Bureau doesn't matter, but they're one of the most popular or the most populous generations is the boomer or older generation. They still rely on things like this. So if there's a majority or a large portion of your market that has homeowners, like in Arizona, Florida, some of these southern states, very important that you still rank well and do well on the Better Business Bureau. We went to 22 5-star reviews, and then we went over to over 100 reviews on Facebook. And then I think we also got like up to 50 recommendations on Nextdoor, and we won the local neighborhood favorite award a couple years in a row as well. Pretty obvious, get reviews early, often, and just keep getting them. Don't stop. Ask while you're in the home performs the absolute best. The conversion rate is astronomically better if somebody verbally asks in home. Otherwise, get one of those like NFC chip cards where someone can just like tap their phone that goes right to your Google link if you don't want to ask, or maybe put it on a badge that you can just have someone scan, or a QR code on a business card. Do something to ask in home. Train your team, have them practice. This is super important. Incentivize your team and congratulate them. You can also automate this. We automate certain things with our team through Slack. If you use Google Chats or Microsoft or something like that, you can automate that as well. But incentivize them either in dollars or praise, or have some sort of competition, because it literally is this important. Now, you cannot incentivize your customers to get reviews, but you can incentivize your team members. So just keep that in mind and have the focus on your team getting these and rewarding them for it. Obviously, creating a culture that provides amazing customer service is a lot easier to if you guys think about a business that you've left a review for, most likely it is a business that did something just a little extra or went a little bit more than other restaurants or other hotels did for you, and it creates a memorable experience. Focus on that as you put together your business plan for 2025, and those reviews are going to become a lot easier for you. And then, as I mentioned before, use AI to reply to those reviews. All right, so I want to touch on a couple things because this is a question I get asked. We only got a couple more slides left, so I appreciate you guys hanging out with me through this as we go through this. And hopefully you guys are getting a lot of value from this webinar today. But do reviews on other platforms matter? So the screenshot on the left is Bing. Obviously, Bing is connected to ChatGPT now. And you can see Bing pulls Facebook reviews. So getting recommendations and reviews on Facebook can help you on Bing, which, again, Microsoft has invested something like $8 billion into ChatGPT. So if there's a reason that you want to start doing something like this and focus and also ask for Facebook reviews. So like when you go back to all your customers that you maybe did service over the last quarter, if they've already left you a Google review and they say, oh, I already left one on Google, hey, would you mind leaving one on Facebook as well and send them the link? And that's a way you can kind of double up and get more reviews on all these platforms. The screenshot on the right is Apple Maps. Apple, for better or worse, still uses Yelp. I know most of you guys probably don't love Yelp, but it still matters. So Amazon and Apple voice search devices, so Siri and Alexa, they use Yelp's listing for information. So I'm not telling you guys to go spend money with Yelp, but I'm telling you, if you do not have a listing on Yelp, go make one, because it is still important. And these platforms use that information to help you when it comes to the voice search. Apple Maps, I am hoping, makes a run as well. They're primed to do more, especially with Google's antitrust lawsuit, but they just quite haven't focused heavily enough on getting this. They already have their own rating system and everything else. And if you do not have a listing on Apple, you can go to Apple Business Connect and create a listing. So that way, if somebody searches on their iPhone, you can be found. If the antitrust lawsuit goes in a certain direction, it's likely that Google will not be the default Maps platform on Apple. Right now, Google pays billions of, I don't know if it's billions or millions of dollars to Apple every single year to be the preferred platform on there, or the default platform. If that goes away, you're going to see a massive increase in people using Apple Maps for local search. So it would be good to get a listing on there and just make sure your Yelp profile is up to date. All right. Last couple tips to improve conversion and things I want to talk about, so that way you guys are ready for 2025 and can actually track and make data-driven enhancements in your business. So the average HVAC client we have books 52.4% of qualified leads. I know everyone, when you see the threads online, if you guys are in Facebook groups, they say, oh, I book 80% or 90% of my calls, or 95%. They're lying. They're not actually getting real data. Most of the data in CRMs today is not input correctly. It's not anyone that's, most of the time, it's not anyone that's trying to do it on purpose. It's just they don't know how all the data ties together, and it's causing problems. Like if you think you actually booked that, I promise you, our top performing clients, about 70%. When I say 70%, that's of qualified leads. So we're already filtering out solicitors, spam, and things like that. So that's 52.4% of qualified leads for HVAC. Plumbing is around 55.3. Electrical was a little higher, around 60% or so. But we don't have as many electrician clients, so we don't have quite as much data to pull from. So last tips: answer the phone. If you need a backup, either get an answering service and make sure, hold them accountable, or get an AI voice product like Avoca. Analyze your call center performance. This is a huge one. There's a couple tools that you can do this with, Lace.ai or PhoneTap.ai. PhoneTap.ai is a program that Tersh and I have developed, and we are actually looking for beta testers. So if it's something you're interested in, message us separately and we'll get you set up with that. But it will help you understand exactly what's happening with your call center. You can coach your call center reps immediately, and then you can also recover leads that don't convert, which is probably one of the biggest use cases for this, because you guys spend a lot of money on marketing, or most companies spend a lot of money on marketing. And it is super important that you guys try to convert these leads. Have an auto missed call text back in place. And ideally that missed call text back, if somebody replies, you connect it to some sort of AI booking bot. We can do this with Relentless Digital. We have a platform called Bullseye Pro that can help you with this. We typically set up these missed call text back, form submission text back type things for you. If you have chat on your website, there's platforms like CallRail and others will have a hot lead connect thing. So if the chat comes through and somebody it's deemed that they want to book, you can easily press 1 to automatically be connected to that person, and it will start dialing their phone so that way you can get a warm body on the phone to try to book that client right away. Have a texting system in place. Have a backup. We talked about that. And if you don't want to use an AI, honestly, with what Tersh and I are seeing in the marketplace, I would highly recommend that you think about an AI voice platform. Tersh usually lets people call his. He uses Avoca, and you can call his and talk to it and just kind of see how it performs for you. But I would highly recommend it. I have not run across a lot of answering services that do a great job for a very long period of time, because the way that business model is structured, when it's hot is when it's hot everywhere, or it's cold everywhere, or there's problems everywhere. And that means they don't have enough agents because they didn't plan properly. And that when you need them, someone's on hold for 4 minutes, or the phone just keeps ringing and ringing and ringing. And someone hangs up, they call the next business. So have a better system like an AI voice product that will help you answer every single phone call and always be consistent. And then obviously follow up with all leads. So tracking ROI is a really tricky thing. Everyone wants to be able to track, oh, lead came in from this, I got X in, Y out. It doesn't happen that way. The customer journey is really messy. We talked about some content stuff and the bottom 3% that are ready to buy today. Those are really easy to track. It's that middle 60 to 70%. It's called the messy middle in the marketing world. It's when people are finding you on social media, they're seeing your truck wrap, they're seeing a yard sign, they're seeing all these things, but they end up converting on like Google Business Profile or your website or Facebook or something like that. So making sure your data is as accurate as possible is one of the single best things you can do for your business, because once you have good data, you can make great decisions. I did talk about phone tap a little bit. Here's a couple screenshots of some of the insights that you're going to get. This happens automatically. I don't know exactly how long it takes. It's somewhere between like 3 and 5 minutes after a call is done. We have a tag that tells you what happened, and then a quick summary of what happened, actions taken, next steps, and any other follow-up things, improvement areas for your representative, your call center rep. And then, of course, your overall performance summary that you can review. These are things that you'll be able to review on your mobile phone. And then you can also set up workflows to either get like a daily, weekly, monthly report right to Slack or your email or wherever you prefer. If there's a qualified lead not booked, you can send them a text message. You can create all sorts of automation from that. So it's really customized. It's kind of like, if any of you guys are familiar with Zapier, that's kind of how we're setting it up, where you can create any and all automation that you want off of this. And this is more of a note for Relentless. We do have a human team that verifies data. So when calls come in, we determine if it was a qualified lead or not, if it was booked or not, how many calls were missed, and then also give like an unbooked percentage and things like that. You can see this is where I pulled some of the data for this presentation today. This is, you can see across 34,000 leads in 2024, 52.4% were actually booked of that qualified leads. Last thing I'm going to mention before I open it up for questions is, because of the issues with data in CRMs today, and this includes the big ones, the ones that are super expensive. Y'all, if you're in the industry, you know who that is. It includes all the other ones as well. Data integrity is one of the biggest problems in the home services space. Searchlight, which is where we get these dashboards from, is one of the best things you can do. They have figured out mapping the conversion journey from the beginning of where somebody contacts you, whether that's through chat, form, call, etc., all the way through your CRM, out the other end with revenue. So that way you can actually determine what your marketing spend is and how much that is actually helping you with ROI, which is one of the hardest metrics to figure out in the home services space, because a lot of the CRMs I've used ServiceTitan in the past, it gives you an ROI for like every single thing, but I don't have like an overall ROI for my entire marketing spend. It also helps you understand your potential ROI. That means all of the open estimates in your system. So that way you can figure, like, this is really strategic. If I got a ton of open estimates in my system, I'm going back, I'm doing open estimate follow-ups, I'm doing discounts, I'm doing something to close more of that business. I'm getting an inside sales rep to close more business. So a lot of strategic things here, but just wanted to highlight this. You guys can reach out to them at searchlightdigital.io. I think their dashboards are $500 retail. We obviously have negotiated something else for our clients, but you can get these. You don't need to be a customer of ours to work with them. And if you guys would like to either book a call, or you guys like learning and listening to podcasts, I got 2 QR codes on the screen here. The one on the left will take you to booking.relentless-digital.com. You can book a call if you want to learn more about our services. If you just want to tune in to the podcast, the QR code on the right will take you to our website. You can obviously find us on Spotify, Apple, and all the other podcast catchers as well. All right. I did pretty good. I told Brittany, my wife, and Tersh I would keep this close to an hour, and I'm just over. So what questions do we have? All right, I'm gonna go back just a little bit. This is great, Tersh. Thank you. All right, great question, Barry. Your question, I have a home office that has been in effect for almost 20 years. Should I change something? So if your home office is showing because you set it up previously, I wouldn't change anything right now. What I would do is start considering having a physical office and making that change eventually, but I would do it in the off season. Don't do it before any busy time, whatever busy time looks like for you. This time of year is probably a pretty good time unless there's a lot of seasonality, but I would prepare for that, because it's really easy if I have a client in your market and I'm going through and we're doing spam fighting to find that and take it down. We have some technology that helps us find those listings that are home addresses. It's really easy to take down if you get a competitor that wants to. So I would definitely prepare for it. You don't necessarily have to do anything if it's live right now. Tim, I don't know what slide you were talking about. I don't have data on that. I can definitely get you something, though. But call counts typically are going to increase somewhere between 20, 30, 40% when we get these types of improvements. A lot of it depends on market. So if we have a market of, I think somebody mentioned they're in a town of 5,000 people earlier, a town of 5,000 people versus a town of 50,000 or city of 50,000 people is going to be a massive difference in the number of calls. So it's really hard to answer that specifically, because demand also plays a part as well. How many single family homes are in that market? There's a lot of things that really play a part there. It looks like Brittany actually answered you there. Should every marketing company that you hire be doing all of this, or is some of this not included? So it's hard for me to answer for other marketing companies. We do all of this stuff. That's comprehensive with our service. The things that we don't do and we need help with partners on are the reviews. Now we can help you automate the process with our tools, but asking in home, we can't do that for you, obviously. Getting photos from your team in the field. This is where getting with a marketing company or an internal marketer and making that a partnership is super crucial to succeed, because we have to do our work and you also have to do yours, and we have to work together to reach your common goals. And so that's something that I would make sure that you ask if you're doing any research on any marketing companies. Brittany, you did a great job of commenting on all of these questions. So that's awesome. David, yes, you will automatically, once this is uploaded, you will get a recording. You can share this with whoever you want. It's just a link, and it will be live also on the Relentless Digital Facebook page, my page, and YouTube. A great question, Kashif. I hope I said your name right. I've heard multiple stories here. I think what helps with rankings, if any of you guys know, Google had a big data leak 6-ish months ago. I don't know exactly the time frame or when. It was earlier this year. And what they do track is clicks. So anyone that uses the Chrome browser, and this is why the antitrust suit is such a big deal, is because one of the things the Department of Justice is trying to strip from Google is them owning Chrome or them owning some other facets of tracking data, because they not only own the data, they can then manipulate it for their own purposes with ads and things like that. So it is super, I would say if people are clicking your LSA ad or your Google ad and they're going to your website, that is a good thing to help with your website. But if you have these on separate landing pages somewhere else and they're just converting right there, I don't believe that has any ability to help your website rank better. Joseph asked, is it important to Google to post pictures on my GMB page daily, feeding the algorithm? Also, how often is good for GMB updates? For as far as like posts, you don't have to update them all the time with text posts. I would focus more on the pictures. I would say once a week to twice a week is good for Google Business Profile posts. Pictures or some sort of automated thing I share with you guys, our Bullseye Boost process. We can have posts every single day, but that's also a lot of work to do that every single day. I used to do that manually at professional services, and it was kind of a drain on my time to do that manually. I would do once or twice a week. And then photos, I would try to update regularly, because Google does get a lot of information from your photos, especially when you're putting air conditioners with the ream tag, train, carrier, et cetera. So when somebody's typing in carrier AC repair or Moan faucet or whatever the case is, whatever you sell, I would say that would be more important. Last question. James has asked, can we hire you just to manage GMB, or is it all or nothing? So James, we can definitely get on a call to talk about it. We do have a GMB only service, so we can definitely talk about that. Obviously, we recommend doing more, but we do have clients, including some large contractors in the US, that only want us to do their Google business profiles. So happy to take a look at that for you, but just book a call and we'll be able to handle that for you. So other than that, I think Brittany, Tersh, you guys did an awesome job here in the comments. So great job. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. You guys will get this recording. I don't know if it'll be later today, but probably tomorrow. So you can share it with your team or go back to it. Feel free to reach out to me personally if you have any questions. The best places to reach out are my email and Facebook. So I'm sorry, Kashif just asked one more question. So what is the maximum diameter we can rank our Google Business Profile in HVAC? I'm going to give you a answer that most people hate to hear. It depends. It really depends on your market, meaning the number of competitors, especially the number of competitors. I showed you guys that map of the outline of your city. How many competitors are in that market? How good are they? Typically, we can rank like a 10-mile radius. So, and that's 10 miles east-west and then north and south. So it kind of gives you a time frame. That doesn't always happen, because if there's a ton of big competitors in a big city, that you're definitely not going to rank that far. So that would be something we'd have to have a side conversation about your specific market. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you, Brittany. You guys all have a wonderful evening. Reach out if you guys got any questions. Thank you.